This is the entry-level Mercedes EQS SUV 450 4MATIC, the cheapest EQS SUV you can go out and buy. And today's question, is it really a true luxury vehicle, being the entry-level version? Yes, the EQS/EQS SUV/EQE/EQE SUV design language. Not my most favorite. I think Mercedes have had better days at their design department, but I did test the EQE 53 AMG a few weeks ago, and I actually like the way that car looked with its stance, its spoilers, its aero, and the wheels. This, though, isn't an EQE 53 AMG. But with that being said, it is the least offensive, least boring, and least ugly execution of the EQ design language, not counting the EQC, EQA, and EQB. But it's bland. It's nothing like a GLS, like in stance or presence, but this is a big, large SUV, so it actually has a little bit of presence, and I think that works better than the other cars with this design language. And from the rear three-quarter, it actually looks kind of nice. At least the interior does not feel budget, it feels luxurious, it at least looks stunning, it's visually very pretty and striking to look at this interior. I've been in quite a few EQS and EQS SUVs interior at this point, and I have to say this color combination, this cream interior with the cream steering wheel and also the non-hyper screen, giving this, big panel of wood instead of a big screen, is so much more luxurious and visually appealing than the cars that have the hyperscreen and also come in a dark colored interior. I mean, looking at this interior, it's beautiful, it's interesting, it's visually stunning, but like other EQS and EQS SUVs and also the brand new EQE, there are some bits of the interior that are cheap, like the airbag cover, which is in hard touch plastics. Some of the switchgear feels cheap, and these are things you're going to interact with every time you operate the car because they are in front of you. This can be had in Nappa leather in other Mercedes like E-Class, also S-Class, but not in the EQS or EQS SUV, except for the new Maybach that they just revealed. That's the first thing I saw when I looked at that reveal video. Does this now come with a leather covered airbag cover? And it does. So I mean, with that being said, it's nitpicking because the rest of the interior is spacious, it's roomy, and the sense of ambiance with this light color, this brown wood, and these non-hyper screens, it's just truly luxurious. Except for some bits of cheap plastics here and there, I really think that this may just be the best interior in the luxury SUV segment. The rear seats are just as luxurious as in the front cabin. There's even more of this beautiful light colored Nappa leather. You can see more of the dashboard. You also have this double panoramic sunroof where you can open up the front panel. I just have to say that, I'm a sucker for a light colored leather interior. It really does it for me. This is exactly how I would spec this interior. And it makes me look past some of the flaws with some of the materials in the front cabin because it's just so beautiful to look at. And also space is very generous. Look at this, guys. I'm 5'10" or 178 centimeters. I have a ton of headroom, also knee room, very generous. I can even cross my legs. And also, shoulder width is really nice. I have a lot of room for my feet underneath the front seat. I mean, this is super generous. Though there's not as much room here as in the EQS sedan, and that's because this has a third row. To get into the third row, you have to just pull on this switch here, just one touch, and then everything slides in like a beautiful, elegant symphony. It really is quite interesting. And then it makes a gap to get in here. Oh, before you do that, you also have to just push these up. So how do you do that? You just pull. Oh yeah, it's a little hard. Okay, so there we go. And then we push the headrest in place, and then we have two seats like that. So let's turn around the camera and then see how this is like to crawl inside. So yeah, it's a bit high, so you really have to get your knee up there. And then me like filming, I do that, okay. So just use the seat as leverage, and then how do I get this back? There's a red, like a tie here. Can I pull this? No, that brings it down, everything down. We don't want to do that. Okay, so we'll pull this up again. Okay, into place. And then, oh, maybe the switch again, right? The other way. Yeah, okay, the switch. So let's see, hopefully, hopefully it's gonna stop. Oh, no. Oh, yeah, there we go. So this is probably not very suitable for adults. I mean, headroom is actually, it's fine. My head is actually touching here. Well, actually, if I remove my cap, I think it's touching in the front. So it's just about touching. So if you're like not wearing a cap, your hair's gonna touch your head. So if you're 6 foot, you're not gonna fit here. And if you're 5'10" like me, also you're not gonna fit with your legs. So this is most definitely, because this is very upright now, I don't think anybody is gonna have room to sit in the front seat. So let's hop out and see actually if I fit in front of myself in the third row. I'm now back in the second row, and actually surprisingly, I actually have a little bit of knee room, but the seat back is very upright. I can adjust that a little backwards like that. I don't know if I would fit behind myself now because I moved it about this much. I don't think there's enough room, but maybe I could fit behind myself or in front of myself, third row and second row, but mostly it's for children. Before I take this car out on the road and tell you what it is like to drive and talk about a few specs and stats, I just want to give a huge thanks to today's video sponsor, Zaptec, with their Zaptec Go home charger. The Zaptec Go is a small, cool, and stylish home charger that can charge up to 22 kilowatts on AC charging. It works with every electric car on the market, including Tesla. It's actually best in test in the Norwegian Automobile Association's test of home chargers in 2022, so it's one of the best on the market. So if you want to support the channel and also want one of the best home chargers on the market, go to the link down below, find your country, click on that, and purchase one from there. The first thing you're going to notice while getting behind the wheel of the EQS SUV is four-wheel steer. So this steers on a rear axle, actually making it much more maneuverable with a much smaller turning circle than you would think this size of vehicle would have. It actually has like a turning circle of something like a Volkswagen Golf, but also the rear wheel steer can be a little bit uncanny and strange to use, especially while trying to drive sporty with this car, taking a few turns too quickly. It just feels very strange. It feels that the car's rotating like somewhere around here instead of further back. It's just a very strange sensation. And also, this car on bumpy roads and on turns, the rear suspension is very bouncy. So I don't think it actually has enough dampening. It's underdamped on the rear axle or oversprung. I don't know what it is, like the spring rate is too bouncy, or the dampers don't dampen enough. Front axle doesn't seem to have the same problem. It's just on the rear axle, and in combination with that rear wheel steer, this car can feel a little bit uncontrolled and yeah, just a little bit unsafe sometimes. I had the same sensation with the EQS 580 4MATIC I drove a few years ago. I didn't have the same sensation with the EQS SUV 580. So I don't know if it's just the tuning of this car specifically, the 450, where it's a little bit, it just feels softer than the EQS SUV 580. But with that being said, it's very quiet. It's super comfortable, this car. But again, the car I had about a month ago, the 580, was on winter tires, and this on Goodyear Eagle F1s just has a little bit more tire noise than I remember this car having. But it's still very quiet, very comfortable, a very isolating experience. And that has to be the best thing about this car, is just the way it drives. There's no other electric SUV that drives this good. It's just super comfortable, super quiet, and a very isolated experience, you know, in combination with that very high driving position. Makes this a very unique and special car to drive. It feels more special from behind the wheel than something like an EQS. So let's talk a few stats. This car has a huge battery, 108.4 kilowatt hours usable, giving it a WLTP rated range of 573 kilometers on these wheels. But my motorway range test actually gave this car a rating of 421 kilometers at 120 kilometers an hour or 75 miles per hour. That's very impressive, and it's like the second or third best distance I've ever gotten in any vehicle. So super impressive. This car has overperformed in every, range test and long trip test and race I have done in the past weeks. So 200 kilowatts peak charging speed, but I've achieved 205, should do 10 to 80 in around 30 minutes. This also being the 450, dual electric motors, 360 horsepower, and 0 to 100 kilometers an hour in 6 seconds. And in a day and age where electric cars have like 1,000 and 1,200 horsepower and does 0 to 100 kilometers an hour in like less than 2.5 seconds, that doesn't sound fast. But as I was saying, the way this drives is very soft, is very wallowy, bolt-like, and especially the rear suspension. You don't want to be going too fast, especially on twisty roads with this car. So in the day-to-day, that 360 horsepower and 0 to 100 kilometers an hour time of 6 seconds is plenty enough, because down low or going slowly and in the city and on normal country roads, it feels actually very fast. It's not before you are at motorway speeds and then you want to overtake that you feel that this is almost 3-ton SUV with not like 500 or 600 horsepower. Is the EQS SUV 450 4MATIC a true, a proper, a real luxury car? Yes, yes, yes. There's no doubt in my mind that the 450 does not take anything away from the EQS SUV experience compared to the 580. It doesn't have as much, punch at higher speeds. It isn't as quick, but my God, is it quick enough for 95% of the people who are going to buy this car. I think if you live in Germany or you live in a place where you're going to do a lot of high-speed driving, you don't need that 580 at all. It's just a waste of money, because this car starts at 129,000 euros in Norway. A nicely spec'd one is like 146,000 euros. This car here is 154. Don't know why this is like 9,000 euros more expensive than how I would spec mine, or 8,000 or 9,000 euros. But the EQS SUV 580 I drove about a month ago was like 200,000 euros. So like dollar for dollar, or pound for pound, or euro for euro, the difference between an EQS 450 and a 580 in the SUV is about 20, 30, or even 40,000 euros. So I think get the 450, save yourself a lot of money, and if you're conscious about the badging, get the badge delete so nobody knows that you got the poor man's EQS SUV. So guys, I hope you enjoyed today's video. If you did, please drop me a thumbs up down below, and for more car content, as always, please subscribe. See you guys later, and goodbye.